This is a Honda CG 125 2004. I bought this bike because it was for sale about a mile from my house, so I just had to. It's a one owner from new bike, or no, two owners from new, but the last owner for about 15 years, and in very original condition, which is basically why I bought it as well. It's still got the correct original date coded tyres, and all of the parts on it have never been changed, so that is quite cool for a, this is a 2004 bike. It's got only 4,000 miles on the clock, so that's pretty nice. It's been sat for about 15 years, I think, and I just put some new petrol in it, and it's drained straight out the bottom here, so the carburetor is going to be blocked. So first thing I'm going to do is just tap this with a hammer to see if that might fix the basically the float bowl being stuck down. Hopefully it will. If not, I'll have to take this carb off and give it a clean up, and then I'm going to try and start this bike. So that seems to have worked. It is quite an easy trick. Basically there was fuel coming out the overflow pipe before, and it's just because the float bulk is stuck in the down position. So what I do is I just gently tap this with a tool like that, and it just gives the float ball enough to just pop back up into place. And so that seems to have fixed that leak. So next thing I'm going to do is check the oil, and it's just this little dipstick here. I think I checked this before and it was quite clean and good looking oil, so should be good enough to go for a start. Let's just have a look. I mean, there's oil in it, so that's the main thing. It looks okay, so I will now connect up a battery. There is no life at all in this bike, obviously, for being sat so long, but I'll throw a battery on, got some fuel in it, and just see what happens. I'm looking for the battery, and it's not under here. This is the right side. Check out these cobwebs. I guess I'll leave this cover off and I'll give this bike a wash before I go too much further, but let's get the other side casing off. So this is the old battery, and I've got this old school battery charger, which is quite a good one in that it will often charge batteries that newer ones won't charge. But what I do is I just test it on there, and then you would see a flicker on that dial if there was anything. There's nothing, so that battery is completely dead. And I'll show you this one just for comparison. So when I touch this, you can see a spark first of all, but you can see this little dial just flickers. So even if there's a tiny charge going in, it does give you a good indication that the battery will go. So I recommend something old school like this if you are in the business of trying to get these old batteries going. What I'll do is I'll just throw this one on, see if that will do me any good, and then see what this bike will do. So battery on, let's see what we've got. Okay, we've got a neutral light, so that's good. A turn signal, yeah, that's working. This is looking pretty good. So we've got that, we've got a horn. Shall we go for a start? I think there would be a choke on this one. I can't remember. I think up is on for this choke. Let's see if that helps. I think this bike will start. It will need a bit of love because it hasn't been run for so long. Let's just go for it and see. The throttle cable is C solid, so that will need to be changed. Okay, so I don't kill the battery. What I'm going to do is my old trick of pulling out the spark plug, and I put some petrol straight into the cylinder head, and that should help. Let's try again. I've got the petrol in the cylinder head, and I think it will go. Go. That is why I buy Honda, guys. It probably needs the carburetor coming off and being cleaned up, but these bikes are just bulletproof. It doesn't help that I've got no throttle cable because it's seized up. So what I can do is, if I had more hands, there should be a way to manually pull this throttle slide up and down. So the engine ran very quickly, but I think the likelihood is this carburetor is going to be all blocked up with gunk. So I'm going to have the carburetor off, take this float bowl off, have a look inside and go from there. So it's decided to have another leak as I took the carburetor off. So to do it, it's just these two, there's two 10mm nuts on these bolts where this thing goes on, and I pulled the airbox out the way, took off this fuel hose, and that's it. So very simple. The float, or not the float, the slider is completely stuck. Yes, you can see there, that's open. This is the choke. With that in the down position, this is open, so that would be choke off, and then with that up, it pushes this thing closed, and that's the choke on. So definitely I need this up to use the choke. So I will detach this, which is the overflow. Then I need to work on this because the slider, which is this piece here, which goes up and down, is stuck in position. So I need to do some work to try and free that up, and then I'll take this off and have a good look inside. So a tiny bit of pressure with a screwdriver, that popped straight off. And really good news, the throttle cable is actually fine. So you can see I'm twisting that and it's totally fine. So it was just that this thing was stuck. There's a bit of sticky residue, which I guess is just from the petrol tank or something. So I'll clean this all up, and next I will whip these 4 screws off and have a look. I would imagine there's quite a bit of gunk inside this, so let's see. These are the jets, and there's no way around it sometimes. I just had to blow through that and try to blow, and it was completely blocked up, which totally makes sense. If there was gunky old petrol in there for 15 years, it would be blocked. Same with this one. So what I have got is this, which is just a wire brush, and I just grab this and get a little strand there, and I've pushed this up and down a few times, and it is now unblocked. And same with this one, I'll just feed it up and down and unblock this one as well. So they are now unblocked, and I'm going to clean all this up. This float will come off as well if I just push the little, I need a better tool, but I'll push this little pin, then that will come out and I'll get this float off. I'll get all of this cleaned up off camera and back together and back on the bike, and let's see what happens. To clean this up, I've just got this little tray with some petrol in it and this little brush, and I'm just better with 2 hands, but I'm just using it to agitate everything in there with petrol. Petrol is really good to cut through the grease. You can see already it's changed colour, it's gone a bit disgusting. And what I do is I've got this black jerry can, and any petrol I get out of old bikes that's no good, I have into this one, and then I use it for this task of cleaning up these old parts. And then when I'm done with it, I put it in my waste oil, and it can all get sorted out at the waste oil place. And then of course I've got green jerry cans for petrol that is good, and so I don't mix them up. So I will now do this one as well, and I think they will clean up really well. So there's a little shot of these, a bit cleaner, not perfect, but certainly good enough to get this Honda CG running. So carburetor's back on. I turned my back for a minute finding some tools, and it had another leak, but I again tapped it with a hammer and it sorted itself. Hopefully it will just resolve itself as it gets used. So let's go for another start. I've got the choke on, let's see what happens. There you go. That's why I buy a Honda straight away. Does need a little bit of throttle. So there's the engine running. Sounds good. It's got the choke on, so I'll have a play around with this off camera, try and get this engine running properly. But looking good for a bike that's sat for 15 years. I am happy with that. So it's much better with the choke off. It does need the idle speed adjusting slightly. But yeah, it sounds good. So once I've adjusted the idle speed, that engine will run fine. So onwards. So I'll show you guys at home in case you don't know. This little screw here, you turn this, it pushes the throttle thing up and down. You can see turning it to the right increases throttle speed. So what I forgot, and there's not actually a revometer on this. Put it down a little bit. That seems pretty good. So the bike is just sitting there happily ticking on, well I say that, it was. I think it needs to go up a little bit. Let's try again. So it's idling pretty well. Happy days. Time for this bike to have its first wash in about 15 years. If I turn the hose on first.